Are in the track and field events of the Pacific Conference Games, and there will be some pressure on the men's team here in the 400-meter relay because the women earlier won the gold medal in their 400-meter relay. This is the New Zealand team with Ian Ferguson starting things off. The Canadian squad will have Mark McKoy starting the baton on its journey. 400 meters around the track he'll be giving to Tony Sharp, then Desai Williams and Ben Johnson. Fred Harvey will begin things for the United States, and for Australia it will be Ken Loraway. Peter Gandy will be running the second leg. He was the gold medalist in the 100-meter sprint, so the Aussies will have a very strong team.
Plus the advantage of an outdoor season. No disadvantage to being in the outside lane because it's sheer sprinting speed, hitting good check marks, and excellent baton passing that makes the difference in this race.
Canada with Mark McKoy running the lead leg. The Australians with Ken Loraway starting things off. There's the exchange. For Australia, it's Peter Gandy. For Canada, it is Tony Sharp. Steve Williams running for the United States. Second exchange, and now it is Desai Williams for Canada, doing very well on the inside. Bruce Scram running the third leg for Australia. It's a Canada-Australian battle, and the final exchange, the anchorman, Ben Johnson for Canada, Gerard Keating for Australia. It is Ben Johnson trying to hold off the challenge of Keating, and he does it as he comes up to the finish line, a couple of strides ahead, with New Zealand finishing in third spot. So for Mark McKoy, Tony Sharp, Desai Williams, and Ben Johnson, they duplicate the effort of the women's 400-meter relay team. 39.6, the winning time for the Canadian men's 400-meter relay squad. The five competitors moving into position for the 50-yard hurdles. In lane number 2 is Dan Lavitt of the Pacific Coast Club.
On your mark.
In lane 3, Mark McKoy of the Scarborough Optimists. He was the gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games. Willie Gauld out of the University of Tennessee, a winner a week or so ago at Louisville. Kerry Bethel and Jeff Glass complete the field.
And Mark McKoy in lane 3, gold medalist in Brisbane, and Willie Gauld, third ranked in the world in '82, the men to watch. Both very fast.
McKoy gets away to a very good start. Gauld trying to make up the ground. It's Gauld now into the lead, and I think Gauld may have just got there ahead of Mark McKoy in a time of 7.66 seconds. McKoy came flying out of the blocks, but I believe Gauld at the third hurdle was able to overtake the Canadian and just finish ahead of him.
The start everything, and both McKoy in lane 3 and Gauld on the left of the picture, away beautifully, taking that first hurdle with McKoy just ahead. And now it's the 3 fast sprinting strides between and keeping low in the hurdle clearance. And with the last hurdle coming up and only 2 steps after they land, Gauld just leaning in to take that very tight finish and sneak a victory out of Mark McKoy. The class of the field, first and second. Very good racing.
This is the men's 50-yard hurdles. The record owned by Ronaldo Nehemiah of the United States, now playing with the San Francisco 49ers, of course. He set it in 1982, a time of 5.92 seconds. Willie Gauld won it last year from the University of Tennessee in a time of 6.02, but he is not back. Lane 1 is empty. In lane 2, we will have Jeff Glass from the London Western Track Club. Lane 3, Mark McKoy, the Canadian native record holder, which he set here last year in 1983 when he finished second. He's from Scarborough. In lane 4, it is Albert Lane from the University of Missouri, an NCAA finalist last year. Tony Campbell in lane 5. He is from Los Angeles, a former NCAA and U.S. champion. And Stefan Karsten, the Frenchman, French champion, a world championship semifinalist in Helsinki last year. He is in lane 6. Quickly out of the blocks in lane 3, it is Mark McKoy, and Mark McKoy will win it going away. 23 strides to the finish. Mark McKoy from the Scarborough Optimists wins it in a runaway.
Yes, Mark McKoy got off to an excellent start there. Right away, he's up and he's over the first hurdle very slowly. Now, the whole key to high hurdling indoor is you've got to come down from that high hurdle as quickly as you can, take your 3 quick strides, get over the next hurdle as quickly as you can, and come down. And here after the second hurdle, McKoy is already well in the lead. Tony Campbell now in second place on his left is just about to come and catch him on the line, but Mark McKoy gets it, and it certainly makes up for his disappointing second last year.
Very close finish at the end, but it is Mark McKoy winning the men's 50-yard hurdles.
Mark, you must feel good. You finally got the better of Tony Campbell.
Yeah, I've run against him a few times, and I'm glad I beat him here in Toronto.
Nice to win at home, isn't it?
Yeah, for a change. We don't have too many meets here, but the one we do, it's nice to win.
How's your preparation for the Olympics going?
Well, I haven't been gearing too much on the indoor season, but except for this race, I really wanted to win this race. I came close last year, so in front of a home crowd, I really wanted to do well, and I prepared for this race, really, and it helped, so it's come along as planned.
Congratulations on the victory. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Well, we're set for the final of the men's 110-meter hurdles, and the man to watch is Mark McKoy, who looks composed heading into this final. He is the Commonwealth and Canadian record holder, the defending Canadian champion, 4th in the worlds last year, and most feel that he is Canada's best hope for a medal in track and field in Los Angeles, given that he usually saves his best performances for his biggest meets, as evidenced by the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane and the World Championships in Helsinki last August. Now, we've already mentioned the extreme wind conditions. What problems do they pose for our hurdlers? Jeff Cowan spoke to Mark McKoy about that.
Well, it shouldn't bother me too much because I'm not tall. It would bother the taller hurdlers more, but I've been running with the wind quite a lot this year, so I'm hoping it doesn't bother me too much.
Well, we know that once this is over, you've got the final preparations to Los Angeles. How will you spend that time?
Well, mainly racing. I got 3 or 4 competitions before the games, and I'll just be relaxing and racing most of the time.
Well, we'll be there in Los Angeles watching you. We wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
There's no question that Mark is the class of the field. He's an excellent competitor. The wind, as he said, may not trouble him too much because he is relatively short for this event at 5 feet 11 inches, whereas Jeff Glass is 6 feet 1. But there is a danger, because the wind is gusting, that they may find themselves blown onto the hurdles. They have 3 very short, sharp, fast strides in between these hurdles, and they'll have to be very careful about this after about the 3rd or 4th flight if this wind is very strong behind them. 8 strides to the first hurdle, 3 strides between. They're in the set position. An excellent start by McKoy, ahead at the first hurdle. 8 strides, he hits it hard. 3 powerful strides in between, running away from this field. Jeff Glass coming on, the form book stands. Fine running by McKoy over that last hurdle, leading into the finish. It's a matter of 48 strides only, and the whole thing is over. A fine win by Mark McKoy. Jeff Glass getting into 2nd place, and Mark McKoy now can plan his final few weeks before Los Angeles. Beautifully muscled, lithe athlete, very fast, a member of the relay team, as we have a look at the replay. A good start, powering towards that first hurdle, driving hard and low over the hurdle, catches it with his trail leg, recovers, however, nice smooth striding in between. It's important to keep low. Everything that matters on these hurdling occurs at takeoff. They've got to keep low and waste little time in the air. McKoy running well now, as we see Glass in the middle of the picture, running well too. And on the very far side, we have Al Ho coming in well, but it's an easy victory for Mark McKoy with Jeff Glass 2nd. He goes over that last hurdle and powers in 3, 4, 5 strides, leans in. He's way ahead of the rest of the field, showing his class. A fine win for McKoy, and Jeff Glass in 2nd place. Coming up in 3rd place, it looks very much as if we have Michael Brodeur gaining the bronze medal. This is why hurdlers have to be flexible, powerful, and courageous. They have to make room for these 3'6" high barriers by picking up that lead leg well in front of takeoff, then making room for the hurdle with a lateral sweep of the trailing leg. A stride of about 11 feet as they clear these hurdles, but they have to do them very fast indeed, and the top hurdlers only take 2 seconds to cover all 10 flights, as we see #1 hurdler winning easily.
So Mark McKoy successfully defends his Canadian championship, and according to the selection criteria we explained earlier, because he's already bettered the Canadian Olympic Association standard of 13.82, and several times at that, and because he finished in the top 2, he is on his way to Los Angeles. He can turn all his attention to that. And there are the official results of the men's 110-meter hurdles.
8 strides to the first hurdle, of course, prior to takeoff. McKoy is a very good sprinter. He's a very powerful athlete, a fast starter. I expect to see him ahead at the first hurdle, and I expect to see him go further and further ahead throughout the competition. Closest to him, undoubtedly, Glass and Michel Brodeur in lane 5, who looked quite strong in the semi-final this morning. So those would be the 3 to watch. In lane 6, Mark McKoy. In lane 4, Jeff Glass. And in lane 5, Michel Brodeur.
Well, it would be a major upset if anybody but Mark McKoy won this championship, but Jeff Glass definitely has some designs, and so does Michel Brodeur. Mark McKoy has won this event for the last 4 years. Now, Mark McKoy's Canadian record, 13.27. That was established last year in Walnut, California. And he also holds the Commonwealth record, of course. The world record, Ronaldo Nehemiah, clocking at 12.93. Mark McKoy, a fourth-place finisher last year at the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, excelling this year on the Grand Prix circuit, and he is looking for that big prize of $25,000 when the Grand Prix circuit concludes with the championships in Rome on the 7th of September. The 8 competitors: Mark Sampson, Sean Deneen, Kevin Reed, Jeff Glass, Michel Brodeur, Mark McKoy, Dave Wilkinson, and Garth Peak.
Having confidence and not having confidence. I mean, the contrast is so marked.
Final preparations, as in the 100-meter sprint, are very important, but in the case of the hurdlers, on their 8th stride, they have to be capable and in a position of taking off to clear a hurdle 1.067 meters high, or 3 feet 6. Here they go.
Mark McKoy appeared to break out of that starting block. He's running in lane 6.
Well, he has a reputation which he must uphold, of course. He knows that this very large, very enthusiastic crowd here in Ottawa have high expectations of him as the prohibitive favorite and one of the greatest hurdlers in the world, undoubtedly, certainly in the top 3 in the world on his present form. He knows that there are great expectations of him. He's seen Ben Johnson storm away with a magnificent 100. He's seen a very close hurdles for women just before this, and undoubtedly this is affecting him. Now, if he was charged for that, it means he's only got one other chance. We can't see from here as to whether the disc is up. I don't think it is. If not, if it was a noise in the crowd, he's fine. If it was, of course, it's 69 o'clock. Let's see if they can get away satisfactorily this time.
Mark was telling us yesterday that he had to miss 2 of the Grand Prix events in Europe. And, of course, there is money to be won in each of those Grand Prix events. But this year, it is compulsory for all carded athletes to participate in the Canadian National Championship. So he is here in Ottawa, and in a couple of weeks will be returning to Europe for the conclusion of the International Grand Prix season. False start, and this time it appeared to be Mark Sampson in lane 1. So you can feel the pressure that these athletes are experiencing running against Mark McKoy in lane 6. All of them desirous of getting that quick start. And unfortunately for Mark Sampson, it appeared as though he came out
straight back down the line. Yes,
ahead of that
it's one rather low. Paraguay and Australia in the Davis Cup quarterfinal.
So he knows if he does this again, he will become a spectator, a somewhat disgruntled and disappointed one, but a spectator nevertheless. Now it's a test for the starter as well, because he must ignore the pleas of the crowd and get on with it. He must ignore the scornful looks of the athletes who are wondering about his family relationships, perhaps. And he must make sure that they are still in the set position before he fires the gun. So this is a test of the mettle of the starter as well as a test of the discipline of the athletes.
So for the 3rd time, the finalists in the 110-meter hurdles move into position. Mark Sampson, Sean Deneen, Kevin Reed, Jeff Glass, Michel Brodeur, Mark McKoy, Dave Wilkinson, and Garth Peak, lanes 1 through 8. That was coming to you live from the Terry Clark Athletic Center in Ottawa. Day 2 of the Canadian National Track and Field Championship, and
la misma estrategia de volver a pelear en grupos pequeños diseminados en todo el territorio, especialmente a lo urbano.
This time they're away, and Mark McKoy is the first over that barrier, and Mark McKoy has control. But it is Mark McKoy, and he wins it easily, almost 10 meters ahead of the rest of the field, 13.28, and that is just outside his Canadian record of 13.27. I believe that was Jeff Glass back at the 2nd hurdle or the 3rd hurdle who went down and is still down and appears to be hurt, as Mark McKoy is the winner of this men's 110-meter hurdles, and the medical staff now providing attention for the injured Jeff Glass.
Indeed, it was Jeff Glass, and the way he was writhing about, it looked like one of the very common injuries for power athletes, and particularly sprinters and hurdlers, the hamstring. I think he was clutching the back of the thigh, as we see Mark McKoy, who truly demonstrated his supremacy and his world class as we watch this race now in slow motion. A very good start from McKoy, but a very good start also in lane 3 from Kevin Reed. But already, as predicted, at the 1st hurdle, McKoy ahead. There goes Glass. McKoy ahead now, running beautifully, keeping low, running on the right side of his lane. He's a right leg leader. He likes to run